Another one.
Why is there no documentation? That is a great question that so many people ask, right? So, how common is it for testers to have few to no docs already created to learn the software feature? I'm getting the sense that it is pretty common for most testers, testing teams, to not be given much in the way of existing documentation that ideally should have been done in the software development lifecycle planning stage about how the features work, such as use cases, task flows, workflow, mind maps, anything that would help a tester learn the software any quicker than playing around with it for hours on end and having to create all the needed documentation themselves. Has that been your experience? And how common do you feel like this? How many testing groups are lucky enough to have a lot of software design and behavior documented? All right, so that is a great question. That is something that plagues the software industry, having bad documentation. So start a timer. And the question is, all right, so how common is it for testers to have few to no docs, right? I would say that it is quite common, but guess what? Whose fault is it?
Are you ready?
I would say that it is the fault of primarily the previous tester. Here's the deal. In order for the software to have been created, then there should have been someone testing it. And whoever, even if it was a developer testing it, because a lot of times, because developers, I just want to get to market. They're going to release software that has full of bugs, right? It's going to drive your car crazy. Don't call your car crazy, but it's going to drive him crazy because he hates bugs. He hates roaches. All right. So with that being said, the documentation, it's everyone's responsibility. See, me, when I'm working on something and there is no documentation, guess what that means? That is my cue to start writing documentation. Yes, that's what I do. So, and it might not be the best documentation at the time, but having something is better than nothing, right? And your car says if there, see, your car, he has no care. He says if you do not have documentation, and if you're full of bugs, you're fired.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Your car's like, I'm not even putting you on a PIP. No PIP for you. So what I'm saying is everyone is responsible for documentation. The developers, the product owners, the Scrum Masters, not necessarily writing it, but ensuring that it is written. The QA people, whoever, the stakeholders, where's the documentation? See, one thing I always ask when I join a company, right, is, all right, where's the documentation? Oh, we have some document here, some documentation here. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what that means? That means now that I'm part of the team, I have to make sure that we have the correct documentation. I'm not going to like, oh my God, we don't have documentation. Oh my God, we suck. I'm like, no, guess what? Me being the person in quality, ensuring quality. See, me, some people call themselves testers. No, I am a quality engineer. I'm a quality engineer. And I'm like, all right, cool. So that means that's just something that we have to work on. Whether we need to do API documentation with Swagger or something to that extent, whether we need to have have better comments in our code, whatever the case may be. But we need to have our documentation on point, because when you onboard somebody, we shouldn't have to go through countless rounds of trying to gather information, spending a lot of time doing a knowledge transfer, knowledge share. There's going to be knowledge share, but you need to be able to point them into a direction, start reading stuff. And I think that if it doesn't exist, as a QA engineer, it is part of your responsibility. You know, it doesn't mean you're the one who has to write it all, but you need to get it started. You need to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Here's a easy way, a very easy way to get documentation written. All right, listen up real quick. All right. Add it as a point to the acceptance criteria. And because as a Q engineer, when you are going through the story and you're testing the story and you have to go through the acceptance criteria to check off everything that has been met, if you get to the point of documentation and there is no documentation, you know what that means? The story fails.
Bruh.
Say, and that to me, that's a defect. Say, hey, where's the documentation? Where is it in Swagger? Do we have it in like a Confluence or a Google document or whatever? Where's the documentation? How are we documenting this? Do we have a diagram that needs to go along with this? Because inside of Agile, we're not having these. We don't typically have like a whole requirements gathering phase, and it's just like we build it. Literally, we build it as we fly it. Right? So I think a simple fix to that is just having a line, a bullet point in the requirement says documentation has been added, documentation has been updated to reflect the changes, to reflect the new feature, etc. And then, and only then, you can ensure that we have great documentation. But as a Q engineer, if no one else is thinking about it, you must be thinking about it, all right? So that is my tip on how you can overcome not having any documentation, get it created, get it done, get the win. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, all right? All righty then.
I was deep in the zone, fingers dancing on the keys. Thought I'd nail this project, bring my boss to his knees. But the clock kept ticking, night turning to day. Then I woke up in panic, all my plans blown away. Lost in the dark, was it all in vain? I'm staring at my screen, it's a pixelized hell. Falling into despair like I'm under a spell. Late nights and lost dreams, feels like I'm cursed. Now I'm fighting this battle, but the pain only worsens. Try to piece it together, but the words just won't flow. Rewriting my thoughts like a painter with no show. My boss points the finger, says I'm slacking the grind, but he don't see the battles that are raging in my mind. Drowning in doubt, feeling trapped in this game. I'm staring at my screen, it's a pixelized hell. Falling into despair like I'm under a spell. Late nights and lost dreams, feels like I'm cursed. Now I'm fighting this battle, but the pain only worsens. Try to piece it together, but the words just won't flow. Rewriting my thoughts like a painter with no show. My boss points the finger, says I'm slacking the grind, but he don't see the battles that are raging in my mind. Drowning in doubt, feeling trapped in this game. I'm staring at my screen, it's a pixelized hell. Falling into despair like I'm under a spell. Late nights and lost dreams, feels like I'm cursed. Now I'm fighting this battle, but the pain only worse. Cause code once a treasure, now it's ashes and flames. Still I rise from the shadows, won't be muted by shame. But the pain only worsens. I was deep in the zone, fingers dancing on the keys. Thought I'd nail this project, bring my boss to his knees. But the clock kept ticking, night turning to day. Then I woke up in panic, all my plans blown away. Lost in the dark, was it all in vain? I'm staring at my screen, it's a pixelized hell. Falling into despair like I'm under a spell. Late nights and lost dreams, feels like I'm cursed. Now I'm fighting this battle, but the pain only worsens. Code once a treasure, now it's ashes and flames. Still I rise from the shadows, won't be muted by shame. But the pain only worsens. treasure, now it's ashes and flames. Still I rise from the shadows, won't be muted by shame.